Yo, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be checking a video of Piers Morgan interacting with some guests talking about LGBT issues. Let's take a look.
Fox Fisher and Al. You don't have a surname, Al?
I do. It's Jonsdottir, an Icelandic surname.
Fine, let's keep it at Al.
Yeah.
You're both non-binary,
Yes.
neither male nor female.
Yes.
I know I'm treading on eggshells here, so let's first of all welcome.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you
and
coming
thank you
in.
for coming in.
Of
Because,
course, thank
frankly,
you.
this is, as our viewers will know, this is an issue exercising Piers with great sort of vigour and passion. It is also something that many of us feel really confused about.
Even me, including me, I'm very confused about it, but let's continue listening.
I want to be sensitive about it. It is confusing. Fox, I can't even say, can I, that you were born a certain gender because you disagree with the idea that you were born either male or
Well,
female.
I say you were born. What were you born?
Can I answer, Piers?
Yes.
Absolutely. So I was assigned female at birth, and it's perfectly okay to say.
That's one thing that I find, I don't know how to put it. I find it bothering. It bothers me when someone says I was assigned female because I wonder how that works out, this assigning. How do you assign? Because as I understand, assigning is something that when you assign, it means originally that thing is not what you assigned it. So it meant that maybe the thing was plain, it was not assigned. Maybe as for example at work, when you assigned some duties, it means that previously those duties were not you are not the ones performing them. So when you say you are assigned female, it means that prior to that you are not female. Maybe you are something else, but I don't know how it works out. Let's hear their explanation.
What does that mean, assigned female?
So it means that when I popped out, and my sister's having a C-section today, actually, so we're going to
good luck,
have
good
a
luck.
discussion. Yeah.
Is she having? Has it been assigned yet?
Well, that's the first thing people ask, isn't it? Are you a boy or are you a girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity. My book comes out tomorrow.
Yeah,
Are you a boy
thank
or
you
are
very
you a
much.
girl?
Are you a boy or girl? I'm very much
Enjoy
a
it,
boy.
Piers.
But let's get back to you, Fox. So you were born.
So I was assigned female at birth.
So you were born a
and
girl?
I never felt truly comfortable in my own body. And so I really struggled throughout my teenage years, the wrong puberty. As I was going through that, I felt more disconnected with myself. I was really confused with, whether I fit into this world. And I took steps eventually to start to transition. But as I did that, I realized that I was going from one set of expectations to another set of expectations as well, because there's extreme expectations for men and women in this world. And I thought it's all about authenticity.
Have you had a full transgender operation, or what have you had?
Well, it's not really about that. It's about gender identity versus gender expression.
But
So my gender
That's another thing I find confusing. If this transition is not the issue, it's about identity. Okay, how do you then separate a man from a woman, or how can you tell apart the two? Or it's highly confusing, as I said in the intro.
identity is non-binary, and my gender expression is more masculine. So I hope that clears it up.
It doesn't clear it up at all for me. So I might be the stupid one here. What are you now? What do you call yourself?
What am I? So I define as non-binary.
What does that mean?
That means that I identify as neither male or female fully. And these identities are recognized in other countries like New Zealand, Australia.
And I wonder how that goes, that you don't identify as male or female. So, because I think it would be more straightforward. You are either this or that. Okay, so for us, mostly, like for us in Africa, it's a very... This topic is something that is very heavy, even thinking about it. It's so it's confusing, and let's continue listening.
What's on your passport?
At the moment on my passport, it says male, actually.
Right,
So,
because you had the transgender operation.
well, you don't need to have a trans operation to have male on your passport.
Okay.
You can be recognised as that either
I didn't
way.
know
Well,
that.
Oh, you
Yeah.
had what some people might consider the complete opposite
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
So when you were born,
Yeah. I was assigned male at birth.
Who assigned you?
The doctor when I was born,
But
basically.
what about your parents?
But I don't think the doctor actually assigns you. He's just making an observation. When the baby comes out, he just looks at the genitals of the kid and just puts it in the birth certificate. I don't think it's something that he has to go like, is this kid a boy? Or let me just put it, it's a boy. I think it's just something, it's an observation. So I don't know how they are processing this, but let's hear their explanation.
You know, when you are born, people perceive you as male or female
Well, no,
based on your
fair enough.
genitals.
Right,
And,
but it's not a completely irrational thing to do, is it?
Not at all. No, of course
No.
not.
Because 99.999% of the entire planet is quite happy to be called boy or girl.
Yeah, of course.
You
but
accept that?
Yeah, I
Your
accept that
parents,
most people
did your
do
parents
that, yes.
wait for the doctor to assign you, or did they say, "Oh, we've got a
It's
little
a
boy"?
system that's in our
Yeah,
society.
that's the thing I was talking about. Do the parent have to wait for the doctor to decide whether the kid is a boy or a girl? Or I think this is someone who, you don't even need to be a doctor. If someone gives birth in the village, like in Africa, gives birth, you just take a look and say, oh, this is a boy, this is a girl. If maybe there's some has some deformities or something, that now can be debated by, but if it's straightforward, you just look, it's either a boy or a girl. There's no debate there. It's not like someone gives birth and now we start taking a poll or having a discussion about it. Is this a boy? Or how will we settle on this? Let's decide. No, I think this is just straightforward. You decide, you make an observation. The same way you do with any other creature. If a cow gives birth, you just look and know if the calf is male or female. I don't think it's about a debate you need to have or something that you need to have a discourse to come up with the sex of the kid. But this thing is so confusing.
It has been made up.
But did
so
they
much.
say we've got a little boy, or did they wait for the doctor to say your assignation is that your child is?
Well, I
Well,
don't
everybody
recall that
agreed.
moment myself. I can't
Right.
really say what happened at that moment, but
Because outrightly, if I say I met these two people on the street, because as I understand so far is that as they appear, the person on the left was born female and the person on the right was born male. So even for me, maybe, let's say I don't know them and I meet them on the street. Of course, I'll say this is a guy, the one in a white shirt, and the other one I'll say it's a woman. But when they give now the explanation, that's where now the confusion comes in, because you are perceiving something of what it's not. I hope that makes sense, but let's continue.
they say this is a boy or
And
this
then
is a girl.
you felt you were also, and by the way, I completely respect people who feel like they have been born in the wrong sex. I get that. I completely support all transgender rights. I think that it's
But I don't know how people do that. How can you feel you are born in the wrong sex? Because I don't think that is something you can feel. That is something that you are. For example, I'm a black person. I cannot say I feel as if I'm not black. I cannot say I feel like I'm Asian. It is something that I cannot say I was born in the wrong race. So that I think that's the same with the sex. It's not something that you can feel you are not. It's something that you actually are. For example, if I started saying I feel I was born in the wrong race, I feel I'm Asian, it would be just ridiculous, and maybe no one can take me seriously. So I don't know why they take this sex and gender debate to these kinds of levels, but let's continue listening.
a huge deal to go through what you guys go through, and I totally respect it and would want total equality for you. So let's just
Thank
put
you,
that
Piers.
on the table.
Thank you.
That's
Okay,
very kind.
it's an important clarification. My confusion comes with the gender neutrality aspect of this, because to me, you were born a boy, and I know you don't like that term, but you were born a boy, and you've become a girl, now a woman. But you dispute that.
Also, that's another thing that is also maybe someone to take a deep thought about. Can you actually become, if you are a boy, can you actually become a girl? Is that something that you can actually do? Not just having the surgeries and whatever. Can you actually become that? Because your DNA, your chromosomes are XY. Can you change them to be XX, or you just change the physical? You just do some plastic surgery? Because looking at that at this person, you can see an Adam's apple. You can see. So I think there's some fundamental things that you cannot change about it. So I don't think you'll become, or maybe you'll become something close to that, but not actually that. So that this person, for example, if they were I was comparing this person to an actual woman, I think there would be some distinction there. We can't say they are both women. There will be some difference. I don't know if that makes some sense to you, but let's
You
continue.
don't think you are a woman?
No, because I think there's very strong ideas about what it is to be a man and a woman in our society, and those ideas are entirely socially constructed, the thing we expect of women and men to do. And as a trans person who's been perceived as a man through most part of my life, who transitioned, I noticed how people perceive you differently in these expectations.
We can't call you he or she, just to clarify one thing, right?
You could call us they, that would be fine. Singular, plural.
But when you say they, I mean they is a plural word for more than one
It's actually
person.
you can actually use it as a singular pronoun
you
as
don't-
well.
Nobody
It has-
does, do they? I mean, this is my
Of
point.
course you do. If you don't know someone's gender, you would say, well, where are they? Or I hope they win the competition or something like that.
But I
So-
can't say like she said something. I have to say they.
That's another thing that is very confusing, especially to people like us from Africa who English is their second or third language. It is so confusing because the way you are taught the first time is the textbook thing that she and he and they, you know what these things mean. So these people, English is their first language. So if they are getting confused, you can imagine what is happening to us who this language is the third or fourth language. And another thing, for example, in most of our languages, we don't have the pronouns. For example, in Swahili or even in our mother tongues, we don't have the pronouns. So they are mostly gender neutral. So when you learn English, that's when you learn to separate these genders and whatevers. And then some years later, because this was not there when we were growing up, now when at this moment in time in history is when it's happening. So when now you have to realign your brain to this, it's a mental disaster. It's extremely confusing.
He said
You
something.
could say they, or you could say Al
So
says
they
that.
said something to they.
To them.
To them.
Sorry, they said something to them.
Yeah.
Does
Right.
that mean
Rather than
She,
she said something to
him.
him.
is that because you feel like you're two genders at the same time?
No, it feels because I sort of denounce the idea of being a man or a woman. So a non-binary is an identity on its own.
So that was just part of it. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed, kindly do so that you can get my videos whenever they come out. And see you next time. I'm out.